Greetings, Eric Backer, the naturopath from New Zealand, where we've had our recent mass shooting. It's pretty bad. Thank you for all the emails and kind words from people who've reached out to sympathise with people in New Zealand. We've had quite an awful last week where 50 people passed away because of terrorist activity involving 2 mosques. So thank you for those comments. That'd be greatly appreciated. Now, we're going to talk about LES, or lower esophageal sphincter. So this is a topic many people have asked me about reflux disease and about all sorts of problems, you know, with swallowing and burping and bloating and feeling sick and things like that. So you've got this sphincter muscle, this round muscle that contracts and closes off down the bottom of the esophagus where the stomach is, okay? It basically stops the contents of the stomach from coming back up again. So the lower esophageal sphincter works really well with most people, especially if the person is not obese, overweight, if the person is not highly stressed, if the person isn't drinking 30 cups of coffee a day like one of my patients were drinking, or eating a large block of chocolate every day like many patients I've seen over the years. So people who smoke excessively, people who eat lots of chocolate, lots of mints, have lots of coffee, lots of very powerful things in their diet over and again, and particularly larger people can have problems with this sphincter, and that can make it quite saggy, aggy, quite loose, and not closing off properly, and that can give reflux. That can end up giving you a sour taste in your mouth, a burn in your throat, a sick feeling. Some people get chest pain out of it. They think they're having a heart attack with this reflux disease. So GERD, or gastroesophageal reflux disease, can happen because of LES problems, or lower esophageal sphincter, you know, not really closing off properly. So what are some of the key things you can do to strengthen the LES? How can you make it stronger? Well, to begin with, you need to eat the right kind of food, because, I mean, hello, if you're going to drink 20 or 30 cups of coffee a day, you're going to have a lot of problems, not just with your stomach, but with your kidneys and your blood pressure and all sorts of stuff. So if you're not eating right, you've got to do it right if you want to get a good digestive health. When I wrote my book, Candida Crusher, I did write a section in it about not eating too fast, not throwing everything down the throat like it's a kind of cement mixer. Some people have got no idea. They'll have a cup of coffee, then they'll have an ice cream, they'll have a piece of chocolate, they'll have a glass of wine, they'll have a slice of pizza. They seem to think that magically everything in here just seems to digest. But when you start getting problems with your digestion, you should start thinking, what did you do that contributed to those problems? All right? Going to the doctor is not going to help, because you'll only get put on a proton pump inhibitor like Nexium, like a drug that blocks acid production. That's not the answer. Guys are great at doing this. I've talked about this before, about the John Wayne School of Health. For the older people who remember a Western actor called John Wayne. And John Wayne was the sort of guy that would get shot and get back on his horse and ride off in the sunset, you know, as if everything was okay. Don't be like that with your health. When you have a digestive problem, think why it was caused. What did you do? What did you eat? You know, did you just get fired and then go and have like a big piece of pizza and a couple of cans of beer? Maybe you got all stressed out and upset. You know, something happened to cause that problem. A continuation of this problem can often underpin lower esophageal sphincter problems. So I had lower esophageal sphincter problems years ago myself personally, when we had 3 young kids, and I felt quite stressed out, and I was eating too fast. I remember chewing too quick, swallowing too quick. You know, these kids at the table screaming or crying or problems, and, you know, having stress with my partner because of this. And I can remember having reflux and problems. So when the body is in a fight or flight mode, it's not going to digest food properly. When it's in a relaxed mode, we call the rest and digest, or the parasympathetic dominant part of the autonomic nervous function. When that's up and out, you'll digest very easily. That's why it's important not to watch the 6 o'clock news with rapes and murders and robberies and stuff when you're eating your food, or to scroll through your, you know, Facebook feeds when you're eating. I prefer people put all that junk aside and just sit there, relax, chew their food, and eat. That's going to go a long way towards helping you overcome LES kind of problems. The correct food selection is critical, that you eat good food all the time, especially if you've got this problem. Second thing is to eat food in the correct circumstances, not under high stress, but hopefully in a relaxed kind of situation. The third thing you can do is to maybe get an assessment of your stomach regarding the stomach acid, and I've spoken about this in previous videos. A baking soda test or a betaine hydrochloride test to stimulate the stomach to see how flat it really is. You can get your stomach prepped up and making acid and train it to work better by giving it a little bit of Swedish bitters or extra lemon juice in your diet, or some apple cider vinegar like Bragg's apple cider vinegar. Especially in you people in the Northern Hemisphere now, going into spring and summer, is a good time to really increase all these acid foods in your diet, because they will really help tone that sphincter and get your stomach in better shape too, especially if you chew foods properly and slowly. Okay, take your time, small portion sizes. Remember, skip the chocolate, skip the mint, skip the coffee, skip the nicotine. All these stimulating things can affect the gut. You can overcome LES problems. Also think about taking an enzyme formula, digestive enzyme formula, particularly one with probiotics with it, because that's going to help get your upper GI in a great shape, the pancreas, the stomach, and the small intestine, and then the probiotics will really flow on down and help to improve, the bacterial content of the small and large intestine. So that's going to work quite well for you if you do that. But just remember those lifestyle tips. If you don't do that, you're probably wasting your time. Chew slowly, take your time, correct selection of foods, weight loss if required. You need to get onto that, because if you've got a lower esophageal sphincter problem, it can make your life hell, with especially lying down or refluxing food. It can make you very sick. And in its worst extreme form, it can even stimulate cell changes in the throat and lead to all sorts of diseases you don't even want to talk about. So get onto it. You can get it fixed. I've worked with many patients with sphincter problems who've fixed them up perfectly fine. Thanks for the question.